Have you ever noticed how the smartest person in the room is often the quietest and somehow still the most intense? Not because they're shy, but because their mind doesn't sit still the way other minds do. And here's the weird part. High IQ doesn't always look like genius. Sometimes it looks like overthinking. Sometimes it looks like being misunderstood. Sometimes it looks like laughing at the wrong moment or feeling lonely in a crowded room. So if you've ever met someone who feels different in a way you can't explain, here's the psychology of people who have a high IQ. 1. They don't stop thinking even when they want to. Most people can close a mental tab. High IQ people, they open 10 more. Their brains tend to have higher working memory capacity, which means they can hold more information at once and connect it faster. Sounds like a superpower, but it also means their mind keeps running after the conversation ends, after the joke, after the argument, after the good night. They replay your words. They analyze tone. They predict outcomes. They imagine alternate timelines. And that can look like anxiety, even when it's not. Psychologically, this overlaps with rumination, not because they love suffering, but because their brain is trained to search for patterns. And the scariest part? They can often see problems before everyone else does. So while everyone is relaxed, they're already mentally living in the consequences. 2. They get bored easily, and people mistake it for arrogance. Have you ever talked to someone and felt like they were somewhere else? Like their eyes were present, but their mind was already done with the topic. High IQ minds crave complexity. Not drama, not gossip, complexity. If something feels predictable, their dopamine drops fast because novelty fuels attention. This is why highly intelligent people often chase deep conversations, strange hobbies, or learning spirals at 2 a.m. that make no sense to anyone else. And socially, it creates a problem because when they're bored, they don't always fake enthusiasm well. Their face betrays them. Their silence gets louder. People interpret it as superiority, but often it's just understimulation. This is also why many high IQ people become selectively social, not because they hate people, but because small talk feels like chewing air. 3. They're painfully aware of what they don't know. Here's something that shocks people. High IQ doesn't always create confidence. Sometimes it creates doubt, because the more you understand, the more you realize how massive reality is. This connects to something psychology talks about a lot, the Dunning-Kruger effect. People with low skill often overestimate themselves, but people with high skill tend to see the complexity and underestimate how much they know. So you'll notice high IQ people saying things like, "I'm not sure, I could be wrong, let me think," not because they're weak, but because their brain calculates uncertainty. They don't trust easy answers. They don't fall in love with certainty. They question their own beliefs before they question yours. And that can make them look hesitant, even when they're the most capable person in the room. 4. They feel out of sync socially, even when they're likable. This is the part nobody romanticizes. A high IQ can make social life feel like slightly delayed. Not in a way they don't understand people, but in a way they over-understand people. They pick up subtle inconsistencies, micro-expressions, hidden motives, shifts in energy. They notice when someone's smile is too quick, when a compliment sounds rehearsed, when a laugh is covering discomfort. That hyper-awareness can create social fatigue because when you're always reading the room, you're never fully in the moment. And sometimes, to protect themselves, high IQ people mask, they mirror, they simplify their thoughts, they pretend to be less intense. Not because they're fake, but because being fully themselves has cost them before. And over time, that creates a strange loneliness, being surrounded, but not deeply met. 5. They're more sensitive than they look, but they hide it behind logic. A lot of people assume smart people are cold, but many high IQ people aren't emotionless. They're just private with emotion. Because when you think deeply, you feel deeply too. You imagine consequences in detail. You picture how things could go wrong. You sense how fragile people are. Some researchers connect high cognitive ability with higher emotional complexity, meaning they don't just feel sad. They feel sad, confused, guilty, nostalgic, and angry all at once. But instead of expressing it directly, they analyze it. They intentionalize pain. They turn emotions into theories. They explain heartbreak like a case study. They rationalize grief like it's a puzzle. And to the outside world, it looks like they don't care. But inside, their mind is loud, and their heart is not as calm as they want you to believe. So what's the real psychology behind people with a high IQ? It's not just intelligence, it's intensity. It's a brain that sees too much, too fast. A mind that connects dots others don't even notice. A person who gets bored quickly, doubts themselves deeply, reads social layers constantly, and feels more than they can easily show. And if you recognized yourself in this, don't just call it overthinking. Don't just label it being weird. And don't shrink your mind to make other people comfortable. Learn how your brain works. Find people who speak your language, and use that intelligence to build a life that actually fits you. If you want more videos that decode human behavior like this, quietly, honestly, and psychologically, tell me in the comments, what's one trait you've noticed in highly intelligent people that nobody talks about?